Yeah, I need to take the gloves off, Dad. Gloves off. It's debate time.
Oh,
So, my dad and I both get very worked up after games because we're columnists at heart. And you don't work anymore, but after games, you want to write a column. I can tell. And
oh,
you have an opinion, and I have an opinion, and sometimes it's not the same opinion. And although the Niners beat the Eagles, I immediately went to what's going on with your first round pick, and you went to hey, a win's a win. So it sets up our debate. You were not even displeased with my coverage, but you definitely would have written a different opinion, and we would have had opposing views, which is cool. So let's talk. Do you want to go first?
sure. If
So
that's
real
okay.
quick, Trey Lance didn't play. That's what people need to know. Why do you think that was the right move?
Okay. Sorry, I got so excited I moved my machine. Um, the context is Iggy felt he should have played and was
Right.
was coming on that he should have played.
Yeah.
Here's what I think: the Niners desperately needed to win that game
Sure.
from a maybe an not as good an opponent, but a valiant opponent,
Mhm.
especially in the first half. This opponent played very good defense against Jimmy, but also against Shanahan. It
Mhm.
took him a while to figure them out.
Mhm.
If they had played the kid, he would have screwed it up.
Oh
He
boy.
would have made a mistake. It was no time to experiment. It was time to win the game. I believe I don't mean you, Shanahan, can bring in Trey Lance. If it's a blowout, he can bring him in and let him play. Or if it's a comfortable game and he could have specific plays, packages for him, he could bring him in. But in a desperate game where that defense was doing so well against Shanahan, it wasn't worth the risk. And I think the result proved it. So that's my point.
Really good point. It's hard to argue against that. I see what you're saying. But to say that he would have screwed it up, um, that's I don't that's a leap. That's a logical leap that I'm not willing to take. The way I look at it is the Niners had to do what it took to win, but their offense wasn't the reason they won that game. They scored 17 points. I looked it up. Teams that score 17 points win about 35% of the time. So a lot of what happened in this game was luck. They had a big goal line stand and they blocked the field goal. That's why they won the game. It's what it came down to. And what I feel like in both of these games, the Niners had an opportunity to sort of put away opponents early and couldn't because their offense, really since halftime of week one, has been in the garage. They've been in neutral. They've scored 27 points in the last 6 quarters. So you have this other thing. Like Kyle Shanahan said, well, if we needed a spark on offense, we would have went to him. They scored 17 points. They averaged 3 yards a carry. He could run. Or remember the first thing he did in preseason was throw a play action pass for an 80-yard touchdown. Since then, they've been working on his pocket passing. Why don't you let him throw down the field on a play action pass? Because that element is missing from your offense right now. I actually think he would have made the offense better and it would have made the game easier and they would have put away both teams quicker. And what happened was since those games had to go down to the wire, you had desperate teams, opponents fighting to come back and players getting injured. Particularly the running back. So what you have is by not using necessarily your most potent offensive weapon, you got no running backs left with 15 games to go.
Iggy, one other thing, though, a couple of things. One, the scenario you gave is very interesting that Trey Lance would have opened up the offense and been more dynamic, but that's a leap of faith as well.
True.
You can't prove that. He
No.
could have come in and screwed up. He could have fumbled. He could have got tackled and lost the ball. He could have thrown a crummy pass for an interception. So we simply don't know. Well, you and I don't know what would have happened because he didn't play. The other is, and this is important, you said they won because of luck, but no, they didn't win because of luck. They won because of great defensive play.
Right.
And there was the one play which was, I guess, by Kinlaw, which was on special teams, and then there was Tart made that tackle. And then the other one was the rookie cornerback pushed the receiver out of bounds, and
Yeah.
they negated a long pass. That's not luck. That's good play. The offense doesn't win or lose a game. The team does.
Mm-hmm.
It's one team with two units.
Sure.
So I disagree that it was luck. I think that in a close game where your defense and special teams is holding down the other team, you play it safe with Jimmy.
Geez, I feel like, okay, fair, I hear what you're saying, but by playing it safe with Jimmy, that game came down to the very, very end.
Yeah.
It came down to the very end, and it came down to the final possession in both games. That's the problem I have with that scenario. Is that so? You say it's not luck. Let me try a different way. It's improbable that the Niners would block a field goal. That's not going to happen. They may block one field goal all year. It happened in this game. It's improbable that any defense on 1st and goal from the 1 would not give up a touchdown. I mean, they did it. They did it, and they get credit for that. But that can't be your strategy. Like Bill Walsh wouldn't say that's how we're going to win a game.
Sure.
We're gonna block this field goal. We're gonna give up a 91-yard catch, but we're gonna stop them. We're gonna have a goal line stand. It's great that they did that, but it's not. I mean, it could have been so much easier if they played their best players on offense. And I hear what you're saying. I'm not watching practice. Maybe Trey Lance is just a disaster waiting to happen. But they did play him against the Lions. He didn't fumble. He threw a touchdown pass. He looked competent. I just feel like what's happening with this offense is it's so constricted and it's so limited. I mean, the limit right now is 5-yard passes, the occasional 15-yard pass over the middle to Debo, and a lot of runs, a lot of running backs running into essentially a brick wall and them getting hurt. If you could just bring in someone else to give the defense something to freak out about, it might open things up for everyone else. I'm not saying dump Jimmy, bench Jimmy. Like, give Trey another 4 snaps and let him throw long, play action long once. He hit the one in the red zone. It worked. I mean, build from that. Especially if the offense is struggling. It's great that the rest of the team stepped up and they had a team victory. But here's the way I look at it. It's like, let's look at it in the defensive perspective. Let's say that the defense gave up 30 and they won because the offense scored 35, but they had a first-round pick, and he was a defensive player, and they didn't play him. And they're like, well, why don't you play your first-round pick? Your defense gave up 30. It's like, well, it's okay. We knew we were going to score 35. We didn't need him. It's the same kind of thing. Could have made it easier. And maybe Trey Lance really, really sucks, in which case don't play him. But I have a feeling he doesn't. I think he's probably okay, and he can do certain things, and the offense needs some more things in it right now. It's like bare bones at this point.
Iggy, they did only score 17 points, but that doesn't mean they're a 17-point offense.
No.
That means they were a 17-point offense last Sunday.
That's true.
Against Green Bay, they could score and probably will score a lot more. So that's really important to understand.
Mm-hmm.
You're presenting it as though this is just a dreadful offense. They weren't against Detroit.
No.
They weren't. And so
they scored 31 points in the first half against Detroit, but they scored 10 points in the second half and then 17 points in the next game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot we need to learn about them. You're presenting a very good case, and I understand. Not saying take over for Jimmy, but augment him.
Jimmy's playing too well.
Yeah, augment him. If Kyle Shanahan had brought in Trey Lance for certain packages, I would have understood it. I also have to say I understand him not doing it.
I do too.
I don't fault him for not doing it, especially when you have a 2-0 team.
I do.
I do think winning and losing is really the only things that matter, and the rest are footnotes. And whatever you want to say, he's 2-0.
Okay, here's the way I look at it, and this is the last way I'm going to try to convince you.
Okay.
It's like let's talk about it as a war game. Okay, we're looking at an opponent. The first 2 battles in our war. How are we going to do this? Are we going to drop the bomb? Or are we going to fight land wars here? And we went land wars. We're going to save these bombs. And it cost the Niners 5 running backs. They're down to 5 running backs with 15 games to go. And maybe they'll work it out. Running backs are replaceable. But the bomb I'm talking about is Lance throwing long. And what you could do, he hasn't done it once this season. Bring him in for one play action, throw deep. If he misses, it's incomplete. You take him out of the game. But right now, there's no explosive element in this offense other than Debo Samuel running around. Give it a shot. If they had brought him in for one play in the third quarter against the Lions and no one's going to expect him to throw. Everyone's expecting him to run. Throw deep. If he hits it, game over. The Lions quit. Remember 2 years ago when the Niners went to the Super Bowl? They would make teams quit in the third quarter, second quarter. It was over. This team is letting teams hang around, and they have this bomb. They have this artillery you're not using. Give it a shot. One shot. It's not going to – I'm not saying bench Jimmy, embarrass Jimmy. Jimmy's doing great. Jimmy's doing a commendable job. But this offense is plotting. It's very, very methodical, Dad.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more. First of all, I think you're making a great case, and I really appreciate it. This is so much fun to do.
It is. I like it.
So, final question, and then we'll move on to our next topic.
Sure.
Why do you think Kyle Shanahan didn't bring him in? Not whether it was right or wrong. Why do you think he didn't bring him in?
You might be right. Maybe he thinks Trey Lance is terrible.
No,
Maybe
terrible is,
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
not
Maybe
ready.
I don't know. Why did Kyle Shanahan make a bad decision? I don't know. In my opinion, it was a bad decision, and he's
Okay.
prone to do those things. It's hard to get into his logic sometimes. Really, why did he do the things he did? I don't know. He's kind of arrogant. Maybe he felt I don't need to do that. I'm going to win how I want to win in this game. Okay, well, it came at a price. The price is the Eagles were playing really hard till the very end, and Trey Sermon got knocked out. He got concussed from a Eagles player trying to do a little too much to get back into the game. These things happen, but you could have put that team away. That's what you did 2 years ago. You would win big, and teams would lose heart. It's football. They don't want to fight at a certain point if they know they can't win.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this. And for you people watching, you have to decide for yourself who made the more cogent argument, or neither of us did. But one
I thought
thing
you
I
did
want to
great,
say,
Dad. It was hard. It was hard to combat your arguments.
I do want to point out that Iggy and I can disagree without being disagreeable, and
True.
I like that. I don't like on certain channels where people are jumping up and down and screaming, and you moron and stuff. I don't like it, but this I like.